Children of the night, what music they make.
Welcome to Fright Night. What up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Blood Splatter Chatter in the midst of Fangfest 2025, talking about what I'm going to call a banger from 1985, Fright Night, directed by Tom Holland, not Spider-Man, not the Spider-Man. But what up? With me, as per usual, every Thursday night, get together with these two handsome gentlemen to get on YouTube Live and talk about a horror movie. Mr. Stu Pock the Slayer. What up, my brother?
What up, man? So glad to be here with you fellas. I love the art on that, just in general for this movie, man. It's fantastic. One of my favorite things. Yeah, show it off. It's so good.
Sick.
See, it's during the era when like the movie poster art would sell a fucking movie. You know, you go to the video store, you see some shit like that.
Yeah,
like, so good. It's not even necessarily like indicative of the film. I mean, I guess it is. You get that foggy ass house, but I don't know. It is so cool, and it always stands out to me. And I didn't grow up with this movie. I was just a cover that I always saw, but I don't think I ever saw this movie as a kid, to be honest with you. But my brother from another, the missing link. What up, man? Thanks for being here, of course.
Always happy to be here. Just real quick, I gotta call out some fallacy real quick. Stu just backstage, Stu, if you remember, Breno just told us not to say what we thought about the movie beforehand, and then tell us say he digs the movie or calls it a banger. You know, no, I'm just kidding.
Because I know how to do it fucking fast and in and out like a fucking robbery, man. In and out like a robbery. But thank you, I needed that.
But no, I'm happy to hear. We'll get into it. I thought this was a banger, but I'd seen the remake and I thought I saw this one, but it turns out I hadn't seen it, and I'm sad I did miss it for all these years. I will say that much.
Nice, hell yeah! I think you've either told me you're a fan of the remake, or I just figured you were, because that's pretty much your era. But I purposely didn't rewatch the remake because I didn't want it to be in my head for this one. But as I said, 1985's Fright Night. I hadn't grown up with it as a kid. I watched it a handful. I think it was just the first time that I'd seen it was a handful of years ago when I got deeper into horror. But looking into it, when I had seen this for the first time, I had never seen Rear Window. And now that I went back and studied up on my Hitchcock and I've seen Rear Window, I'm like, oh, this is so cool. Like, it's basically Rear Window with the vampire twist to it. A bunch of other little elements, love stories and things like that. But what's even more interesting is you look back at Tom Holland's career. And this is his first movie that he directed, which I would say is pretty impressive looking at. I didn't realize it was his first film, but he was already like this super hot name writer of the era. I can't remember what he had written other than Psycho 2, but Psycho 2 was a big deal. Like, nobody thought you could do a sequel to Psycho. It was originally going to be like I think a made-for-TV movie. He wrote the script. And Anthony Perkins, if I'm getting that name right, Anthony Perkins read it and he liked it so much that he signed on to the movie. He wasn't originally going to be in Psycho 2, but the script was so good that he's like, oh, fuck, I'll do it. So that really launched like all the sequels that we got for Psycho after that. But when you look at that, obviously he studied up, and he said this, he studied Hitchcock like crazy in order to write Psycho 2. So I've always looked at it like, oh, clearly that's where he got the idea to do this Rear Window-esque vampire movie. And then the other thing, since we've been kind of going in order, we went from the 30s vamps to the 50s, and we did Martin last week in the 70s. The 80s was a tough one. That's why I kind of left it up to the chat to figure it out. We've got the Lost Boys, we've got The Hunger with David Bowie, which I've actually never seen. We have this one, we have Near Dark. There's
Near Dark. Oh my god.
A lot of big bangers from the 80s. We were originally going to do Near Dark. That was the plan, but it's not streaming. You can't find it anywhere. You can't buy it on Blu-ray or digital, or you just can't watch the thing unless you already own it, or I guess you could pirate it. But this is definitely follows that line of or that wave of 80s teen horror. It's like it's satirizing vampires, which we've talked about, once you get into this era, it's silly to make a vampire movie. People were over it. So you either had to talk about it, satirize it, or like spoof it, not spoof it, but do what they do with it here. Make it aware to everyone that you know what you're doing. You're hitting all the tropes and you kind of understand that it's silly to make it palatable for everyone.
It was like a vampire movie for its time. Like it was like it had all the tropes of classic vampires, but it just had like the 80s flair, you know, like the 80s style dripping off.
Especially with the practical effects too. Like
absolutely. Especially in the second half of the movie. Like they really turned it up to turn the volume up to 11.
Totally. I don't think this gets thought of in like terms of like the Blob and like some of the big practical effects movies of the 80s. I would put it up there with it. It's maybe not on the level of the and some of the, it's not the Thing or that, but it's definitely on par with or a little bit under those movies.
Yeah, they did some amazing things. Absolutely. And it reminded me of all those there's a creep ball next door and nobody believes me movies. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I love that element and that tropiness of it. But yeah.
Like the Burbs.
Yeah. The Burbs or Disturbia. What was it? Disturbia with Shia and so many.
Did Steven Spielberg direct the Burbs? Or was he just a
I don't know if he was involved in it at all. I'm pretty sure he didn't direct it. But that I would say out of all the movies that are like that do the Rear Window thing, that's the one I grew up with. Was the Burbs, which is funny that this came out just a few like that. This came out and then a couple years later, or didn't I mean whatever it was, a few years later that they did the Burbs. You would think people would be like, we kind of just did one of those with vampires, but evidently not. It was a huge hit too.
Well, that whole like I don't want to say like just a weird town, I guess. With an example that was like a theme back then, because I was thinking of Erie, Indiana. It didn't necessarily correlate with vampires, but it had like the boys were like in a town where they knew shit was weird, but nobody believed them, you know, and they're always falling. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but
no. But I mean, that's a trend like starting in the 50s. Like with like the Blob, that's always a thing where like you don't believe the kids, like the parents don't believe the kids, kind of a thing. But my brother Stu, had you seen this before?
No, sir. First time watch for me.
Hell yeah! What did you think? What up, Chad?
Overall,
I always do this. I ask you what you thought, and then I realize I should say what's up to the chat.
Say what up to the chat, man.
What up, appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you, Sal, as well. Two Gun, my brother Pedro. What up, y'all? Appreciate you guys.
Everybody's doing well
early on. Hell yeah, man.
Yeah. Kind of slow getting going, right? It was kind of a struggle for me at parts there in the beginning, but I definitely appreciated the campiness of it. And some of the scenes are just kind of comedic in their rhythm and their pacing. And like, I love when he first, saw the vampire biting the chick next door. And when went to the cops, I love the cops questioning, going into the house and questioning. It was just hilarious. So it was enough to keep me, to keep me entertained, man. But the second half of the movie for me was the shining star and where it really all came together. That last half an hour, 40 minutes, supreme. And I think they saved all the great practical effects for that, length of time and that I guess the act 3 of it all. But overall, hit and miss. I did appreciate all the elements of the past, like the mirror scene reminded me a lot of Lugosi and some of the ones we've already watched for Fangfest, but I don't know. I found my attention waning there in the first half, but man, the second half I was all in. So that's generally how I was feeling after it.
Right.
How about y'all?
I could totally feel that. Lick, I'm curious what you would say. This time, I had watched it like a year ago, or whenever this came out. Whenever I bought this, I watched it, and I remember the middle act. I was thinking was really slow. The dance scene and some of the parts there, that was kind of slow for me. This time, it didn't bother me as much because I was kind of like just in the mood for the cheesiness of it, like the dance bit. Like I was totally there for it. But I was actually kind of the opposite of you, where the beginning part, like the first handful of scenes, I was really impressed with how quick everything happens, how quickly it gets to everybody knowing what's going on with the vampires and the vampire being at his house twice and everything. Like that all happens in the first 20, 30 minutes. And I thought it kind of cruised, but obviously the third act is where it's the most entertaining of it all. And that's the same in the remake too. The third act in the remake is just fucking crazy, and it just gets super exciting. But what did you think of that, Link? Well, like as far as the pacing goes.
Shit, can I mute myself? I enjoyed it. I'll be honest. The first half of the movie, I was kind of like, okay, it didn't bother me, but I was like, it's kind of cheesy, kind of campy. You know, he's like fucking whistling as he says, like, "Here I come, mom," as he's walking down the stairs and shit like that. You know, there's certain aspects where I was like, there's potential here, and I can see why they updated it, or did a remake. But after Evil, the annoying friend, gets fucking jumped in the alley, that's like the movie switched gears almost, where it's like the remake, it was edgy, kind of just edgy, and I don't want to say safe, but it had its darker moments, but it never went too dark, you know, but it was fun. It was that throughout the entire movie, where this one was very campy and lighthearted in the first half, and then it switches gears the second, third act, you know, the last 40 minutes, and becomes like this dark. There's still little certain elements of camp in there, but it really becomes like a dark, like horror movie, you know, for its time. But I did appreciate that. I walked into it thinking, oh, I totally see why they remade this one. But now I left it with, I like them for each different reasons. Like I still like the remake, but I like this one as well. I didn't appreciate the different things that they did with the story.
I've only seen the remake once, and I like it's great. I think it's one of the better remakes of the 2000s of that.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the later ones too. It's 2011, so it's definitely on the tail end of all that. But I like how different they are. Like just having McLovin in it as the Ed character is really different. He's great.
I haven't seen it, so that sounds hilarious.
Yeah.
That sounds hilarious.
What's his name?
Spin on the friendship.
I like how Evil Ed's loyalty was bought for $8 in this film. He gave $8. He's like, all right, you son of a bitch, you drive a hard bargain, but I'm in.
In the remake, I won't spoil it, but he has more of a valid reason for why he turns on his friend. You know, like because the same beats kind of happen, but for different reasons.
Right.
You know?
And there's some places in the remake where it just gets really extreme. It just like, you know, some wild rambunctious shit happens. And it's different than the rambunctious shit we get in this version.
Yeah. I love Evil Ed with the Raggedy Ann hair, like on the bed as the mom.
Oh,
that's one of my favorite
random things. Like what? For whatever reason, that reminds me of this certain demon in the movie Demons, produced by Dario Argento. But Allison Troy, what up? Greetings. Appreciate you being here.
What up?
He's saying Verno over here being the horror Kanye. I'm gonna let you finish, but let me say what's up to the chat first. Sal are saying Marcy Darcy looks cool as a vampire. She looks great. Like you guys all familiar, I assume, with Married with Children, like Darcy from that.
Oh shit, yeah. Oh yeah, the neighbor chick.
Yeah. Did you recognize that that's who it was?
I did not put that together at all until right now. So thank you, Sal. Yeah.
To me, like I think she's kind of not great in the movie. I think the whole main cast, like the three, I have a love-hate relationship with every single one of them. And she's right there with it, where she's really corny and she's really over the top, but it's also really fun that it's Darcy from Married with Children. And I like her arc throughout the movie. Like where she
would you say the main three, Darcy, the main dude, and the old dude, the vampire expert?
I'm talking about like the three younger people is what I'm talking about.
Actually, I feel like he was on. He's annoying, but I feel like he nailed it. Like he was supposed to be that fucking like obnoxious, and I don't know. I feel like his delivery of lines kind of fit the character, where the other two were kind of dry at certain points, you know. And
well, you could kind of see Ed being. It could have been so different than the way that he played it. What up, Kenneth? Appreciate you being here. Kirby, appreciate you seeing you here, man.
What up, y'all?
And then Sal saying the mom just kind of disappeared by the last half. Yeah, that's a great point. Barely remember her at all.
Mom just went to work and like clocked out.
When Darcy became a vampire, because she somehow magically grew longer hair, Like I thought that was the mom for a second, because I was like, oh, I haven't, she looks different. We haven't seen the mom for a while, but yeah, the
Dude,
mom
I
just
gotta say, she looked amazing when she came out, and she was like
as,
full feral there at the end. That was like, we should have had more of that look earlier on. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They
Oh
should
my
have,
god.
like, that was so, and like with the crazy jaws and teeth and all that, it
Mhm.
was so great.
I
Like,
wonder.
they should have given us more of that.
I really want to
Ooh.
know. Like, are there any scary vampires? Like between, I don't know. Are these the first like really heavily like practical affected vampires outside of the Nosferatu adaptation that we get in '79?
that I've
But like
seen.
even Lost Boys in '87, they've got like the bumps on their head, kind of like the look that Buffy does. Like, is
Yeah.
this the beginning of that
Good
look with
call.
like that kind of deformed face vampire?
I don't know. I'm not
I would
knowledgeable
say
enough to answer that, but that's a great
I
reference.
feel like it is. Anybody out there, if you're watching, please correct me, but I have a feeling that it would be. I don't think there was any in the '70s that did this, especially not with these crazy teeth and the just level of
It
like
looks
fucking
great.
scary looking vampire.
Yeah, they did a great job.
I feel like that this would be like the inspiration. If anything, maybe practical effects wise, like just not sharp teeth, but I could definitely see like inspiration in the 30 Days of Night vampires, like the whole, like not completely, but the way the teeth are more like they look like they're meant to rip meat apart,
Right.
instead of some two sharp fangs that leave puncture wounds. Even though
Well,
that's all
exactly.
essentially he did was leave
It's like
puncture wounds.
more sharp teeth. Like if you're looking at Ed
Yeah.
right there, it's just instead of just the fangs, you've got some
Yep.
randos,
Yep.
randos in there that are long. D dog, you son of a bitch, says fangs out, gangs out. What up, brother? Appreciate
What
you
up,
being
man?
here as always, D dog. Back to the cast because that seems like a good place to go from here. Like I was saying, like I go back and forth with Ed, same as I go back and forth with Bill Paxton, not to be confused with Sister Paxton in Aliens, right? Because he gets so annoying. But
Yeah,
that's the
he
character's
does.
job is to be so over the top and so annoying. But at the same time, he adds a lot of the heart to the movie. But I do think he's a smidge overboard. He can
No,
pull
I
it
think
down a little bit.
I think for like as overboard as he goes when he's in normal human character, like he kind of finds his space to really be himself when he turns into a
Right.
vampire. Then it just kind of syncs up a lot better, and
Yeah.
it's easier to live with. I guess.
Digest his shit. Yeah. Oh, it is. I think that's an astute description. He is very fucking annoying. Like it's like to the point where it's like, why the fuck are you even talking to this dude? Like what friendship is there? But it does become more tolerable when he becomes the vampire. It like gives him. It's almost like I mean. I was gonna say it reminded me of like Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man type of shit, where he's like he can let out all that angst and timidness that he hides Peter, but not really with this dude. Where he's just kind of an asshat. He was still an asshat when he became the vampire. He just had
Well, I think
shit
it's
to back
that.
it up.
Now you are not necessarily supposed to like him once he's the bad guy. So now you kind of can get away with being like, oh fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Like I kind of had a feeling about him the whole
That's
time.
a good, yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
And dude, as far as the main guy, Charlie Brewster, I think he does a real good. It was first of all, Charlie Sheen came in to audition for this,
No way.
and Tom Holland, the director, who by the way is the director of Child's Play as well. So he's got Child's Play under his belt. He has this, and he's the writer of Psycho 2, which when we cover, we will. It's phenomenal. Like it's great. But then he did some shitty Stephen King adaptations after that. But for a small resume, he's made a huge impact.
Was it Storm of the Century?
No, no, he did a Thinner and the Langoliers, which I used to like Thinner, but it's got like a -5 on Rotten Tomatoes. I liked it when I was like 12. I hear it.
Thinner's like one of those great like late night TBS movies.
Right.
Yeah.
That Langoliers too was along those lines. I liked them both when I was a kid. So whatever. I shouldn't even talk shit about them. But what I was gonna say is the main guy, Charlie Sheen, would have been funny. He came in and Tom Holland's like, you're too good looking. I need a guy that's handsome. I don't want an ugly guy, but I need someone that people can believe that they are him. And Charlie Sheen, you're not that. This guy, I think he serves that role really well, but his something about the tenor of his voice that is fucking annoying.
Yeah, you also want to smack the shit out of him. Yep.
Yeah, I don't like him. Like I think the movie could have been a lot better if he, like, as much as I love the movie and I love the movie, Like, it sucks that I really don't like the main character or the casting for him. If that was better, the movie would be like a 6 out of 5 for
And
me.
yeah, I actually kind of wish they would have went with Charlie Sheen because I'm imagining him from like Ferris Bueller's Day. Charlie Sheen, where he's in the precinct talking to the sister and shit.
Right.
And just with a little less edge, but you know, he had like that cool high school thing going on, and that's something they will not spoil. But in the remake, he's more of a cool kid, Anton Yelchin, where this dude's I wouldn't say he's a geek, but he's not. You know, they emphasize how Anton Yelchin's character is like the cool dude. He's got like the pretty cheerleader, smart chick as his girlfriend,
Right.
but he used to be friends with geeks, but he's not really a jock, but he doesn't talk to the geeks anymore. Like that's something they don't really emphasize. Like the school social stratosphere is something they explore a little bit more in the remake as opposed to this one, which is more straight up like
It's like
vampire.
you're making me think of like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. He's a little too cool.
Yeah.
Like, why are you this cool? Chill out a little bit. You don't.
There's no way he'd be a fucking nerd, bro. He fucking skateboards. He's a scientist. He takes photography. Like Peter Parker, Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker did fucking all, bro. Like there's no way he would be picked on. And you know, I just
did So who else would I want to? Oh, Peter Vincent. So Peter Vincent. This is one of the big reasons why I wanted to do this movie because I felt like it fit with what we were doing. We'd done Horror of Dracula, which I think Peter Vincent is clearly. First of all, his name is from Peter Cushing and Vincent Price, which it's more of just a nod to Vincent Price. He's straight up playing Van Helsing from the Horror of Dracula and the Hammer Dracula series. But what did you think, Stu? What did you think? Just like looking at Horror of Dracula and his character, like, were you glad that you'd seen Horror of Dracula? Did that add
for sure? Absolutely, yeah. It definitely, like, that's what I was speaking to earlier when I was talking about themes from other Dracula movies, and like that definitely Peter Cushing homage, right? Like the old man with the gray hair. Yeah, like just to speak to the main character, how many times do we hear throughout the movie, God damn it, Brewster, or Brewster went and fucked it up again. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. And then like even at the end of it, his redemptive arc, so to speak, you don't like he's back in the bed making out with his girlfriend or whatever. And then the old man's like, you know, right, Charlie, or whatever. And it's like, yeah, that old man saved your ass, bro. Like, old man brought the briefcase. He came to play. So I don't know, man. It was hard to even buy into him at the end of the movie, kind of like, you know, winning and becoming the hero. But yeah, I thought Peter Vincent was extraordinary. I just love like the OG horror themed show that he came from, and then like them trying to convince him and him backing out and like slowly come to that realization. Like I said, the mirror scene was super dope. But I love that character. He was definitely a highlight for me.
Speaking of the mirror scene, the counter, the main dude not earning it, he did kind of stay his stance throughout the entire movie. Like he was adamant this dude's a fucking vampire, and even when the Peter Christian dude discovered he was a fucking vampire with the mirror thing, he was like, I'm out, bro. Like I noticed he didn't have a fucking reflection, but I'm gone. You know, like it wasn't. He got dragged back in, like he was gonna be done with them. It wasn't until the fucking evil Ed dude went to his fucking place and tricked him. Like, I got a vampire out here, and he let him in. They wrapped back into all that shit, but he was gonna be done with all that. So you know, the younger dude kind of he wasn't the hero we needed, but he was the hero we deserved.
Get out of here. All I'm saying is I don't want to be in a foxhole with that man. You know what I mean? Like,
there's something about, I know I'm just kind of repeating myself, but like, Stu, you've made beats. So you know, like when audio peaks, or we've all just heard fucking audio peak. It's like this real specific sound that to me is the fucking most irritating sound ever. Yeah, and there's nothing you can do about it in audio.
All the time on my mic, I scream into my mic all the time.
It is like the worst fucking sound. Something about his voice. I don't think it's making the mics peak. It could be, but I think the frequency of his voice is just very similar to the frequency of a peaking mic. And I'm just like, dude, shut up, take it down.
That's funny.
But I don't want to talk too much shit because I still like him as a character.
He kind of reminded me of like those anime characters, like. You gotta believe me. He's a vampire. You know, hey mom, I'll be right there. You know, just very over the top, dramatic.
Okay, so back to Peter Vincent. This is something that I wanted to mention in the Horror of Dracula episode that I didn't. I forgot to say, but I'm glad that this reminded me of it. There's a bit. Okay, you guys remember in Horror of Dracula when Peter Cushing kills Dracula, and like it's going on for a while. At first, he's like, "Ah, I killed you." And then it's like going on for a while, and he starts to like feel bad about the situation. Did you guys like pick up on that? Like he's looking at him. He almost feels sorry for Dracula by the end of it. Like that's the look in his eyes. It's like, oh God, I have remorse that I had. Like he almost realizes that Dracula was a human at one time. Like, oh, I've just killed this man. That's what I think. It's always really struck me in Evil Ed's death in this. It's like, oh my God, that really escalated and got really serious and sad by the end of it. But like I feel like Tom Holland's like, oh, I love Peter Cushing because he does. Like this whole thing is like a love letter to classic vampire movies. He's like a huge fan of that era, and I feel like he's familiar with that moment at the end of Horror of Dracula, and he wanted to put it in this movie. So like that's his opportunity for his version of Peter Cushing to have that reaction. And it's like even better. It's even more like heartfelt. Like you really feel like sad, like you just killed this kid, and like the look on his face.
In this, I would say, yeah, I'd say it fits better in this, to be honest, because it's like I read it as like this dude talked all this shit about being a vampire expert, and it's like when push came to shove, he kind of tried to pussy his way out of there, and a young kid, because he didn't act soon enough, even though he had the knowledge. A young kid, he had to isolate a young kid, and that he probably waited, like he was. I like that he played it in such a disbelief, like he was so knowledgeable in like the vampire mythos, but it's like he almost didn't believe it was real as it was happening to him. He was in shock and kind of trying to react with the knowledge he had. But I do think it played better where it's like in the Peter Cushing one, it's like, all right, man, I get it, he's a human, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
Right.
And this one, he was in, because it's like this dude attacked. Oh, this is when they went to the house. This is out of his apartment, but it's still like within the time frame of like this is like with 20-30 minutes of him being attacked in his apartment, that he's still in shock. Like, oh shit, dealing with vampires. I gotta kill this kid I was just talking to a few hours ago that they came to for help and I didn't fucking help them. So yeah, I agree with it. I think it definitely. I do see the homage aspect, but I think it was definitely better this film.
Right, the great points. While I'm thinking of it, as far as, or to continue my thoughts on Horror of Dracula homages that I never noticed before, that I noticed this time. Part of the like this look that you see on Evil Ed. I don't know why I'm calling him that, but that's what I'll call him. Vampire Ed, like that. I looked it up. The first time that we ever see that, like a cross put on a vampire's forehead and it burned, that was in Horror of Dracula. So like right when that is going on,
is that the courtyard scene with
with Lucy?
Yeah.
Right when that's going on in this movie, in the background in Peter Vincent's apartment, they make it a point to twice show a Horror of Dracula poster in the background. I thought that was a really, really
that's
just
a great call.
So they know that you know that they know that they know.
Yeah,
what they were doing.
Awesome little nod.
Sal says, I liked it. Kind of looks like a suave Latin vampire. I assume you're talking about Jerry, which was the main guy.
The vampires look great. The eyes, like the crazy teeth. I thought that the look on them was fantastic.
That's one thing I appreciated was like in this one, like Colin Farrell. I love Colin Farrell. He was very serviceable. And I loved him before seeing this one, but there was like a certain charm that this dude exuded. Colin Farrell's very charming, always charming, but it was more of like a forced charm in certain scenes where this dude was naturally charming. And like he was just always, hey, what's going on? It was never anything too. There's certain scenes in the remake where Colin Farrell's like, all right, come on now. It's a little weird.
I agree. Like Chris Sarandon is just so fucking cool in this. He plays the cop in Tom Holland's Child's Play. He's the cop in that, and he doesn't give me any like sexy vibes necessarily. But in this one, he's just like killing it. There was an interview with him where he's talking about this script came across his desk, and at the time, he's doing like Shakespeare movies, and he was recently nominated for an Oscar, and he's this really serious actor. He's like, I'm not gonna do a movie called Fright Night. No, thank you. This is ridiculous. But he read the script and he's like, oh, this is juicy. He's like, I can be this fucking vampire. And he is. He's great.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
A couple more of these.
I
love this. It reminded me of Sean Astin in Goonies. Yes, same energy. Sean Astin would have done a better job. Like he would have been.
Yeah, I like Sean Astin in the Goonies though, bro. You know, I felt like he
means. Yeah.
Oh, okay. What was I gonna say about the spoiler, but not they didn't. So he didn't have like a little handyman in the remake. You know, like. What do you think of like Colin Farrell didn't have like a butler or Alfred, you know, or what's his name? Renfield.
I gotta watch this remake. Colin Farrell's the vampire. I gotta check that out.
Yeah, it was great, man. Bro. It's a banger.
What year did that drop?
2011.
2011.
Okay.
Yep.
The guy you're talking about in this movie, he's called Billy. He's kind of like his Renfield, kind of in a way.
Yes, yeah.
Whatever you would call it. And he's played by, I just had his name right here, Jonathan Stark, who I'm not very familiar with. I'm kind of talking out of school, but he was a comedian as far as I know, and he played mostly. I think he was a stand-up. Don't quote me, but he definitely, like, if he was an actor, then he leaned towards more comedic shit. But in this, he's just perfect. He's menacing, and he's just bullying Charlie Brewster the whole time, just being a total dick. And when his bit at the end with the fingers,
man,
that's so fucking cool. That's one of my favorite. I don't know what it is about.
First off, like when they
growing body,
when they regenerated, like it looks so. They did that so well. It was incredible.
Hell yeah! But
you know what? Some of the
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say some of the like transformations. Not exactly, but it gave me vibes of like American Werewolf in London, you know, like, or a toned down version of that, like where the American Werewolf in London really focused on the transformation. Like there was like cool aspects of the, like what Stu mentioned, the regression or the retransformation reverting back into like their human form. Like you said, the hand thing was super fucking cool. I don't know how. I'm sure it wasn't that complicated, but I don't know how they did it. But it looks good. It looks fucking great, you know.
It even looks like you can tell, like it's not it's just something off about it. It's like, hold on, math ain't method on the angle of that. Right. even like the way that his hand like disintegrates, I really felt like that was another ode to Horror of Dracula.
Yes,
just absolutely. Like that, like really reminded me of that bit.
That was another moment where I was glad I had watched that movie beforehand. And just like we were talking about earlier, man, Evil Ed's death, like how he, you know, was like that feral werewolf dog type of shit. And like that whole slow transformation was magnificent. For a 1985 film, like the stages of that
still holds up well.
Yeah. And you don't think that that's going to come. Like, I mean, we already mentioned it, but like the tone of this movie, and I heard someone else say this, so I'm going to steal it from Evolution of Horror. But it's like when you look at this and Child's Play, like they were talking about, like, does Tom Holland have a style? And it's like, no, I don't know if there's like this really like clear, like, you know what I mean, style that he has that jumps out. But what he's doing with tone, where he has the funnies in the movie, but it doesn't go like, this is campier than Child's Play even. He still keeps it like scary, like in the right moments, it's scary, but it's campy.
He's found that
where it needs to be.
In Child's Play, he's found that balance where that I would say that is his distinct style, where he's got these really campy elements, but it's like at a dime the shit can get really dark, you know, but it can still be campy, you know, but he's got a way of balancing that out. Because, you know, to be honest, you can see the DNA of Child's Play all throughout this movie, in terms of, because Child's Play I feel is a little darker, they're more consistent throughout its tone, but I still see
it has its levity. The one moment I keep thinking of that's like laugh out loud funny is there's a moment in Child's Play, the first one, where these older people see Chucky, they're like, what an ugly doll, and Chucky goes, fuck you. It's like so perfect, but it's like still creepy. It never loses its creep factor. I don't know if I said this out loud, but Zach Harris, thank you for the little fun fact. Says apparently the street that they live on in this is also featured in Monster Squad, which is
Because like when
Where's
this
that?
movie stopped playing on Amazon Prime, Monster Squad automatically started playing after.
What year did Monster Squad come out? Was that like around the same time, or was
Yeah,
that
right
like in
around.
late?
I feel
Okay,
like it's like 80 after this, but let me.
86.
I feel like it is, but let's find out. Monster Squad 87. So yeah.
87. Okay. Okay.
Back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh wait, no. Hold on. That's not what we're doing. Back to fuck. In my notes right here, I just have gay with a big circle around it. So did you guys like back to his buddy Billy, the Renfield type character? I'd never noticed this. And the few times that I watched it until I watched the special
We're just
feature,
leaning on him.
and then I watched it again. Did you? There's all this. We have not mentioned the bisexual nature of the vampire, all of Fangfest, but like it's always been there. Back in like Carmilla was the first like lesbian vampire. That was a novel that was written about a female vampire before Bram Stoker's Dracula. And then like we talked about before, Lord Byron, who the aristocrat, I always say aristocrat, the aristocrat vampire was based on, he was bisexual. So like just the basis of the modern vampire being a bisexual man has woven its way up until the modern times. Like there's always this element where you've got men sucking on other men's necks, women sucking on other women's necks and things like that. But in this, like there's this scene where Jerry's hand is hurt, the main vampire, and Billy is like sitting down like he's ready to give him head. And like the way that they film it, they're zooming in on the back of the head, really emphasizing it. I never noticed it until it was pointed out. But did any of you guys pick that up?
I think I actually missed that.
The one where they is that where they look over and then they close the lampshade?
Yes.
Or the window shade?
Okay. You know, that didn't for me, but it was the scene where he like kind of leans on his shoulder like this. I was like, oh, that's pretty friendly. But I mean, you know, vampires have always been just like sexual in nature. Like even like you said, from the sucking on the neck, there's a sexual core to that.
Right.
About taking your life energy. But yeah, I mean, I did don't mind it. It fits the vampires. Like, you know, that's a social construct people put on themselves. You know, he's beyond that. He sees that these are rules.
To me, it totally fits because they're creatures of lustful passion. Like they're slaves to their impulses, and like to view. I don't think they even like ideally like looking through the eyes of a vampire, they wouldn't even view people in the same lenses of sexuality that we would as human beings. You know what I mean? Like, so it definitely makes sense to me.
It's like vampires in general. This is part of like the other thing that they have that other monsters don't have. Not that I'm saying I want to be gay, but vampires have this like thing where you want to be them. They're cooler than you. But they don't give a fuck about the rules. Well, that's what I'm getting at is they don't care about the rules. They don't care that society does it. Not men don't always do that. It's like, no, you don't have to be gay. We just do whatever the fuck we feel like doing, whatever the fuck we feel like it.
Yes, and I think like
vampire, bro.
There's always been like an element of vampires that they're kind of ahead of their time. Like, you know what I mean? We're kind of catching up to them, society, and like
they're sophisticated
as a society, and culturally. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it definitely definitely works for me.
Hell yeah!
But yeah, if we're speaking on the energy, like, you know, Prince definitely have vampire energy, you know.
Yes.
Like
oh my god, yes, oh my god, yes, great, very great.
How was he never cast in a vampire movie? Like, that's a missed opportunity, man.
No, don't worry,
like, especially AI with the shirts and all that. Like, that's
right. He was my man's. They could have easily casted him in Bram Stoker or who's the most Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, Christian Slater.
Interview with a Vampire. He could have had like
him in that bitch. He would have fit right in. Like, you know, that
I want to see a buddy vamp movie with Michael Jackson and Prince, just going around fucking just slaying and moonwalking.
You should do that. It's so nice. We have the
This is something that when we watch Midnight Mass, because I covered that last Sunday with my buddies Peter and Eric, go check it out. There's one scene in that where, well, basically, fuck it, doesn't matter what the scene is in that one. The scene in this that also reminded me of this theme that could be in more vampire movies that I don't think is like after Ed goes to Peter Vincent's house and he does what he does. after that, Charlie shows up. Peter Vincent's like, get the fuck out of here. Or, you know what I mean? He thinks he's a vampire. And he doesn't know if he's a vampire or not. He doesn't know if he can trust him. And that to me is like, oh, that's like the Invasion of the Body Snatcher vibes, these Paranoia vibes, The Thing. And it's like the vampire story is totally ripe for that. We have people, monsters that look human, and we can't really tell if they're monsters or not. So my reason for bringing this up is we need that movie. We need the movie that's the main thing.
Like, I've got an idea, right?
Paranoia.
Like you could I don't have a really full out, but like I definitely see what you mean. Like they're like 30 Days a Night. Go to a place where it's like really dark and people, you got to play on the paranoia. Like you can't maybe it's one fucking band, not a squad. Maybe it's one fucking vampire going around doing something. Maybe you could put like that slasher vibe to it. It's one vampire going around tricking people.
Yeah. You're not sure. Like, oh, let's get everyone out of here. We're not safe. Then you turn around like, oh, fuck, it was you all along. Like that. That's why I almost like when I said this for Midnight Mass, I could see that being a crucial element of a TV show. Like that show could have played with that for episodes long. Like that show was a perfect setup for it. Like I wish that would have been a huge like element of that series.
Oh, you know what speaking of, you know what make you could actually revamp now, probably you could do it as a movie, but I think you might get more mileage out of it as a show. Fucking Martin. Like You? Have you seen the show You with what's his face?
No, I know. My wife watches it.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
you get that like a Martin type of vibe where it's like instead of he's almost like Dexter, he's a serial killer, but you're getting his point of view as to why he thinks he's a vampire and why he does the things he does. And
right, well, he's got to have blood. If you think about it, it's exactly like Dexter. Dexter has to kill. He has to kill. So
he has to hit that
bad people to kill. You could do a vampire series of Dexter, but I think Dexter just sounds kind of cooler already. You know what I mean? To be a serial killer, there's something kind of corny about a vampire.
What about Dexter versus vampires?
I'd watch that. I'd watch it. I'm not gonna lie. Up the ante, bro.
This is kind of out of nowhere and a little bit random when we already touched on it earlier. But what did you guys think of the dance scene? Like I said, it struck me as so corny before. But were you guys? I was totally there for it this time. Like, and just the music in general. Every time that they show Jerry and like the music that kicks in was awesome.
The electric guitar is so crazy, right? It's so 80s and it's like so over the top. And like the whole dance scene is like, you're gonna feel me up, and like moving her hands around is wild. To me, my favorite part was when he vamped out and like slashed the bouncer across the neck.
The bouncers, bro,
sent the other one sliding across the floor. I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude!" Like,
I thought that was great.
Yeah,
I'll tell you why that was fucked up. It's all white people in the movie, and they're like, "Hold on, we got to kill somebody. Who do we got? Bring in the brothers." Is the first people that get killed. Link, did you recognize who that was? The first bouncer that gets killed is the black dude from Friday the 13th Part 3, one of the biker gang guys. The guy
he did. You know what? He did look familiar. He's the one that went to the barn, right? Where he's okay. He looked familiar, but I didn't know that. But I actually loved the bar scene. Like this, like I love the 80s vibe and its flair. Like so, it's like anything that evokes like just like those dance scenes with like the 80s music. I'm totally here for. But to that, its defense, I gotta say it's iconic enough that the remake. It definitely tipped its hat to that scene where they're at the club and shit. So it's like it was impactful enough that they decided that it should be a part, because that's something that could have easily just been part of like the OG throwaway scene. We do something else for the remake, but they definitely, because there was a club scene, in the remake, and they like a nod of the tip of the hat. But no, I loved it, because I loved the bouncer's reaction, like when he fucking. It almost reminded me of like a Wolverine thing when he's like, shink, he lets out the claws, because he just fucking puts out his hand. And you see the fucking claws, and the bouncer's face was like, I love the quick Christina. I love the the reaction they cut of like the bouncer, like if he was like, fuck, and then you see that,
especially since it's that guy from Friday the 13th Part 3. I love that.
That is too funny.
What about you, Stu? Were you there for the dance scene?
Yeah, no, that's what I just said. Yeah, I was.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
No,
I'm
you're
over here
good.
reading comments. Don't worry, I'm paying attention to you, Stu.
No, you're good. Yeah, I love the dance. I love the dance scene, dude. Yeah, that was
all right. Well, I feel like we've had a fantastic. Oh, I just wrote something down. Dated. I wrote down. I underlined it 3 times. Like a lot of times you'll hear like, oh, you don't want to do this because you don't want to date your movie. You don't want your movie to be dated. And when it comes to like pop culture references, like, yes, you don't want it to be dated. But everything else, like that's some of my favorite things about old movies. Like I love how 80s this is. I love how 80s Lost Boys is and Demons and movies like that. So it's like, I don't know, maybe it's just specifically the 80s where it's like it's so funny the way that it's so different than what we're doing now, but it's still kind of cool, but it's also like it's just like this movie. It's kind of camp, but it's also kind of cool at the same fucking time.
yeah. And like you said, dude, sorry, go ahead, Lane.
Oh no, I was just gonna say certain things I think are indicative of their times, and it's like it kind of encapsulates what was going on, and it's cool because of that, because you can watch something and get like the zeitgeist or the gist of what was a big thing around that era. And I think this is one of those movies where it is dated in certain aspects, but it lets you know like what the 80s were like at the same time. Like this was the pinnacle.
It's got it all.
And they were having fun. That's one thing I think about right now. Like with like culture is stale. We've said it before. Oh, there's no good music these days, and there is. You just got to go out there and find it. But it's not like
harder.
The pop culture is stale. It's not as fresh. Like the fashion isn't like it's not like a standout. There's not this definitive thing. And I don't think, like we've said before, that it's because we're living in it that we don't have that perspective. I think like years from now, people will be like, no, people dress like the same from like 2002 to like whenever we get our shit together and like switch it up and decide to take again.
I would say that like even like I noticed the kids nowadays are like dressing like 20 years ago when I was in high school, like baggy clothes and shit like that. But I would say there was like a period where like the millennials were like updating like 70s, 80s clothes and shit like that, but we're putting a spin on it. I wouldn't say the kids nowadays, maybe I'm just sounding old, but I wouldn't say they're just kind of emulating what we did back in then. Like there's no spin on it. They're just wearing baggy clothes and like you guys are lame. But I see what you mean by stagnant. There's no unique spin on anything. It's just kind of rehashing the past, the certain aspects, but especially music. I don't know. I think music's at a big turnaround point because you would think in this age where it's like anybody can put something out, it's easier that everybody would be shining through, but it's like that's not the case. Like it's almost oversaturation. There's too many artists.
Here's my thing, dude. Like you guys know, I was a DJ for years at a very fancy place. Definitely was in a strip club, and I hear music because I'm totally out of the game. I haven't worked there for like 4 or 5 years, and I'm just fucking over popular music. I rarely listen to it, but every time I check in, it's like, God damn, I'm so disappointed that it hasn't moved on. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same music that was popular 4 or 5 years ago, and that's what I'm saying. Like, but as I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm thinking about I've got a niece who's more like I'm like the very woke side of things, and she got the crazy hair, she's got it, so she does have that going on. Don't get me wrong, but you're not going out. I feel like in the 80s you would go to the club, and that was like the trend for everybody. Everybody had the shoulder pads. Everybody had the big hair. There's not like this. There's niches that have their look, but there's not like this broader, like cool look.
It's because of the internet and because of like the accessibility. Like it used to be like a certain industry could push a certain look or a certain thing, a certain sound. Nowadays, because of the accessibility of the internet, everybody has an outlet. Everybody has a voice. That there's so many different venues. That there's nothing to push because there's like you said, everything's niche at this point. Like there's an audience for everything. Back in the day, certain things were popular. Nowadays, there's a genre or a fan base for everything.
That's a good point. I feel like people don't want to fucking like maybe take risks because then they get labeled as that niche. Like, oh, I make my hair green and everybody thinks I fucking am this or whatever. But all right. It was enough of a detraction or whatever the fuck that word is. Tangent. Let's rate this bitch. I think this has been a fantastic.
Real quick before, hold on.
Oh, please.
I just want to say, and you already said it, Vern. The practical effects in this one, man, this one should be known for that. You know what I mean? Especially in the second half. Without that, I think the second half of the movie, I don't think it's as good as it is. So I definitely think it deserves more consideration, in a legacy sense,
right,
for having great practical effects. Anyway,
I couldn't agree more.
We would have had more of the effects, but I feel like that would have taken away from the impact that the effects had on the last half,
right? Because
but they were well done.
Well, we kind of get the bit earlier in the movie, like when Chris Sarandon's character goes into his bedroom. That's the first time we get like some. I love that scene. I just fucking adore that scene. But yeah, we get something there, and then we don't really get. They hold off on it to the last half hour. Mm-hmm. One thing I wanted to mention. I don't know why I'm telling you guys my notes. I have reverse underlined. There's a bit where that's another thing I really like about it. I don't know if this was the first time that this was in a movie, but the cross doesn't work unless you have faith. I love that aspect of it. It's cool. It adds a lot of like character moments at the end. It gives all this character arc at the end of the movie that wouldn't be there without that like vampire rule. But there's a bit where Charlie holds the cross up to Jerry, the main vampire, and he goes, Aah! And like that. First of all, the noise that he makes, that reminds me of Invasion of the Body Snatchers at the end, and the fact that he's like reversing, he's like going backwards. Stu, I know you're a big fan of Bram Stoker's Dracula. The Lucy scene in that where they have to kill Lucy, they show her the cross, and she like reverses back into the coffin. And I wonder if that is kind of inspired by this, or if there's something older that it all comes from.
That's a great call. No, but it's a great scene. And that noise he makes is horrific. Yeah, it's so good.
Hell yeah. So good. And he's so great in it too. I don't know if we've talked enough about him, but I think we'd all agree that he is fantastic. Chris Sarandon.
Okay, we don't do this, but would you say was your favorite performance, favorite character?
Him, for me. I would say that, and followed by Peter Vincent. But what about you, Stu?
I'm gonna go with the vampire. Who was that?
Jerry? Yeah, Chris Sarandon.
Yeah, Chris Sarandon for sure. Yeah,
and I really, really like Billy. I like the other guy. I love like
the main dude,
like the not the main vampire, his Renfield type character.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't get much screen time, but I totally get that character. He's having so much fun being a dick.
Fucking the dude from Beverly Hills Cop, Judge Reinhold, a little bit. He kind of gives me Judge Reinhold vibes.
Good call.
100%.
Is he Susan's brother or something? With that same last name?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Oh, well, hold on. I think we might be talking about two different people. Just to clarify, John Stark is the Renfield type character. Billy in this movie. He's the one that's the
my bad. Yeah, I was talking about the vampire.
Chris Sarandon.
I
don't know. I want to know, man. Is Chris son of a bitch?
He doesn't really have the Vince Vaughn shadow eyes, constant dark circles that him and Susan Sarandon share, but I could kind of
husband and wife.
No shit. Are you serious?
Yeah. He's the OG Sarandon. She's just the knockoff.
What?
All right, let's rate this bitch and get up out of here. But that's a good fun fact. Dude, what are you giving 1985's Fright Night? I love that he rolls his R's, because that's a Peter Cushing thing. I commented on how I love how Peter Cushing rolls the R's, and this guy rolls them even harder.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
What up, Rogue? I don't know if I said hi to you, or if you've been
bro?
Here for hours and I just neglected you. I apologize. What up, man? Oh, there you just got here. I appreciate you, Rogue.
I'm gonna go 3.5 out of 5, man. I think he could have done a lot of things better in the first half, and given, like, I don't know, sprinkled out the practical effects a little more evenly, but I thought it really had a couple of fantastic performances and really a strong third act. So 3.5 out of 5.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right, missing link. Where you at? You guys in the chat as well. If you've seen Fright Night, let me know your rating out of 5.
By the way, my favorite character was Evil Ed.
I'm sorry, Link. I'm such a piece of shit.
No, it's all right. No, we're
Evil Ed ruled.
Yeah. There's something about his voice where it's like, I was questioning. I was like, it's like something. I know they do voiceovers sometimes. So I was like, is that like a female imitating a dude, or is this
He
just a
is
dude
doing
who
a
has a
weird voice, Brewster.
yeah? It throws you off a little bit. But that being said, favorite character. He's like Be- Beans from Even Stevens. Like, I hate that dude with a passion. I always wanted to make like a Hostel 3 starring me and Beans. Never came to see the light of day, but maybe one day. But he was like that, but a little bit held back, so I respected that. But my rating, I just want a 4.25. I was I really appreciated the switching, like because you the first half of the movie, you're almost like, okay, 80s movie, vampire, yeah, he thinks you've seen it before, but then
Right.
it switches gears in a way that I don't think like the remake didn't quite achieve that. I appreciated that, respected it because I
Mhm.
really did like the remake.
It's
So I'm
different
gonna
in the
go ahead.
remake. I feel sorry
Yeah.
to cut you off, but I feel like the
No,
remake does switch gears, but in a different way. It almost and I don't
yes,
remember. I
yeah,
don't quote me on it because I've only seen it once, but I feel like the action is ramped up in the second half of the remake. It's more like
yes.
crazy, not
Yeah,
like
he's
practical
fucking
effect
ripping
crazy.
gas pipes through the house and blowing shit up and throwing motorcycles to windows and
I'm
yeah,
so
it's
mad
like
I
some
haven't
bait.
seen this, man.
We'll
I'm
do it.
so
We'll
mad.
cover it.
It's worth
Yeah, we
it's
got to do it.
I appreciate that. But yeah, I'll go 4.25. I like that, and like I said, I dig the whole 80s vibe. Like anything that encapsulates the 80s, I think this is a great one that if you want to show some kid that's born like now or like
Yeah.
20 years ago what the 80s were like, this would give them a great vibe of what was like prevalent in the 80s.
Hell
So
yeah. This came out in
but
85. Give them this and give them Back to the Future. Give them a swat on the ass and send them on their way.
they'll be
They've
good.
got it.
They'll be
You
good.
understand the
Yeah.
80s, kid. Get the fuck out of here. Sal saying that Evil Ed dude could fit into any
Yeah.
80s movie. Agreed.
Big facts.
He
Now.
went on to do gay porn after this. Fun fact, just so you know, that was his specialty
I
after
could
this
see it.
was
I
gay
could see
porn.
it.
I have seen it. I have seen it. I'm gonna give it like I'm tempted. I'm not gonna, but like I could give this thing a 5. I enjoyed it so much. I put this on Tuesday night, and it was 9 o'clock, not that fucking late. But for whatever reason, I was super tired, and I was like, man, I might just save this thing for tomorrow. I don't think I'm ready. I ended up pulling my recliner up, put my recliner right in front of my TV. I put this beautiful 4K on, and I just ate it the fuck up. I just like loved every second of it, soaked it up, the campiness, the cheesiness. But I'm still gonna give it a 4.5 just because like it fucking some of those characters really do annoy me. Just their voices and their tones and even like some of the performances. But as far like what we've said, just to fucking recap, the fact that like it kind of is a horror comedy, but it also
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
it has definitely the scariest vampires that we've talked about outside of Robert Edgar's Nosferatu, and some of the scariest vampires that I can think of. But it's also that fun 80s popcorn teen movie, and it just rides that line fucking perfectly. So it's and the music, man, the music is fire.
I
So
love it.
Sal gave it a
Yeah.
4. Stu was the only one. I think Stu was the only one. Let me double check. That was wrong. I think Stu was the only one that was. Yeah, Stu's the only one that was wrong at a 3.5. That's okay. That's okay. Hey, Stu, my heart goes right out to you, man. Don't worry about it. And then Stu gave it a
There it is. You found a
4.25.
way.
He got it in. He got it in.
58 minutes in, folks.
But all right, let's. What am I doing? I'm pressing the wrong buttons. Let us wrap this bitch up. Tell you guys what. Oh my God, Verno, get your shit together. Hold on, I gotta go find this. It's coming. In a few seconds, this slide is gonna load. That's gonna tell you what we're doing to wrap up Fangfest next weekend. These 2 movies to finish it out are 2 vampire movies. They're the most modern vampire masterpieces, at least that I've heard of, that I've never seen. So one being, fuck man, this is taking a long time to process. Then I just made this thumbnail right before we got rolling too, because I was like, oh shit, I don't have a thumbnail for next week. Come on, Fright Night or fucking whatever you are. That's the name of the slide thing is Fright Night. All right, so next week we're doing this is like number 1 on a lot of people's list. A lot of people's list of the best vampire movie of all fucking time. I've never seen it. Link, I know you've seen it. I know you're a fan of it. I know you're the fan of the remake as well. And that would be Let the Right One In. Stu, have you seen it?
I have not.
Okay, all right. And then this other one, Stu asked to put in. I put it in. He's never acknowledged that I put it in. He's never thanked me for putting it in. But we're gonna do a girl walks home alone at night from
Wow.
20.
Hold a grudge much. Thank you, Verno. I appreciate it. It's a great movie. I think it'll be a great conversation. So thank you for your sacrifice. I appreciate
Oh, I love you, man. I really
too,
first
bro.
of all, I just want to say
It's gonna be great.
I have loved
I'm
this.
excited for
Fangfest.
this.
I like that you guys have enjoyed the movies as much as you have, and I feel like you guys have gotten something out of it. Hopefully, you guys in the chat and watching have as well. But I think it's been really good. It's been great for the channel. The channel's been
Real
doing quite well. Run.
Still, how dare you not appreciate when he finally puts a movie in you suggested and not some random movie that he slaps your name on and says you suggested, you know?
Hey, I know you wanted to do that. We're gonna do it, but 8 months from now. Here's what I want to do instead.
Exactly. But wrapping that bitch up. But before that, on Sunday, Rock and Robbie Billups going to come hang out with me at 1 o'clock Central Time to talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer in general.
Awesome.
We'll talk about vampires in general. We'll talk Dracula in general. And this episode, season 5, episode 1, I had just heard, I read an article from Bloody Disgusting that was like, oh, Nosferatu did this female empowered vampire movie, but Buffy did it equally as well 25 years prior, with like a kind of like similar vibes where Buffy is mesmerized by Dracula, and it's some similarities with the most current
I can see
Nosferatu.
it.
But I watched
it.
it. I was a little nervous. I was like, oh, I don't really remember this one. I hope I like it. I watched it yesterday. It's fucking great. It's so great.
People,
they do all the Dracula tropes in Buffy. It's so perfect.
I need to watch some Buffy.
People talk, you know, I know Joss Whedon is a hot topic right now, but it's like you can't take away from the work he did in the past. You know, I think it still stands and speaks for itself. Like everyone can. Some more so than others, but everyone's probably problematic, or no one's perfect. Everyone's infallible, you know?
Right. Oh my God. I would be canceled right now if everybody knew everything. I think we all would. That's the thing. That's the thing. If we were all in the public eye, we'd all be fucked.
Yes. Micromanaged. But it's just crazy that, you know, the work he's put in, it's easy for people to take away from that and extrapolate some bullshit, you know, like, I don't know, like, you know, Joss Whedon, I think everyone's probably got some issues with somebody, but I think his work that he did with Buffy over the years really speaks for itself. And it's like some of the bullshit he's been put through over the years, I think it's a little unjust, to be fair.
And
you know,
Astonishing X-Men rules.
Fuck yeah, it's a masterpiece.
Like, I will probably put my foot in my mouth a fair amount because I reflexively always defend the person getting canceled. Always. I'm always like, shut the fuck up. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't care what, first of all, I don't care what he did. I don't care what he's like. I don't care if he's a cool guy or a nice guy. It's like, whatever. You know what I mean? I know you don't either. I know that's not even the point that you're making, but to me, I'm always like, whatever, dude. I don't believe half the bullshit. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
To me, the one thing, like, you know, so many things going on in the country these days, right? One thing I do love about America is it's the land of second chances. And like, I feel like if you own your shit and you make honest amends to you know, try to say sorry to the people you offended or make right your wrongs, then, you know, people will give you a shot. And especially when it comes to you know, artists and how closely artists and the creatives kind of toe that line with you know, the darker side of life, whether it's addiction or just coming from broken homes, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, there's always a balance. We, like you said, we all are walking our own path and have our own, you know, journey to go on. So, you know, we all need to remember that when, you know, we're judging or looking at another person, especially when they've given us great art that we can revisit and get something genuinely positive and like uplifting. Like, this is not, Buffy is a fucking badass story of female empowerment. Like, and
that was my original point, was like, you know, don't let, I know he's not a name people are kind of straying away. I know he's a name people are straying away from right now, but like, don't let it take away from what he's done. Like, you've done some great work in the past that, you know, still relevant to today, you know, so go seek out holy shit.
Have you guys ever seen that video that's like the hot crazy, what is it, Venn diagram or graph or whatever? It's like you're gonna have your hot chick, and if she's a 7 hot and a 4 crazy, you're in the safe zone. You're good. It's a sweet spot, and that's kind of how it is. Like it gets bad. Like Joss Whedon did what, but Michael Jackson, what he's accused of, is way worse. But he's Michael fucking Jackson, so we don't. You know what I mean? We're gonna let him get away with a little bit more. But that's just
it's true. Yeah, people pick and choose. That's very true. That's absolutely true.
This is what we've done so far. Take a screenshot, go back, check out those videos, check out the movies, check out the TV series, add Buffy to this because I forgot to do it, haven't done it yet. But Stu, don't only tell me about this Ink and Insights that you do with E every week, but my brother from another, I'm inspired by you. I've yet to fucking do anything with this inspiration, but I love it. You've been putting together your solo content, making these little videos, doing comic breakdowns. And I love it, man. I love the passion that you're putting into it. So first of all,
thank you so much.
Tell people about that. Like what is your
I should have sent you
shit you want to do. No,
the thumbnail. Sorry.
Okay.
Surrounded by Short Boxes is a weekly spotlight on my favorite back issues from the personal collection. What I love about them so much.
Sal's not playing with jokes. Spotlight on Neil Gaiman. Coming up.
And now moving on. And now let's talk about Sandman. Yeah. Surrounded by Short Boxes, weekly spotlight on my favorite back issues from the personal collection. What I love about them so much. I got a new episode dropping tomorrow morning about new X-Men 121, the silent issue, Grant Morrison, Frank Quietly, one of my all-time favorites. I'm doing a little mini deep dive in.
You should have done a fucking deep dive on the whole Enough Said initiative, man.
Dude, hold on. I got a mini deep dive on G.I. Joe, one of the first silent issues, G.I. Joe 21 by Larry Hama. The Enough Said initiative showed that Daredevil issue that we covered on Supreme Clientele with Maleev and Bendis. So many great issues out of that silent run. So check for me. Yeah, it's going to be dropping tomorrow morning. I don't know, around 9 a.m.
Bro, I really think you're doing a great job too. I really do, man. I love that you're doing it.
I really appreciate that.
For people that have never done it, it's tricky. It's tricky to do, and it's tricky to keep doing. It's not that it's that tricky or it's that hard. It's just fucking weird to sit down in front of a camera by yourself and start talking. And just have the confidence to do it and then to continue to do it. So I love that you are doing it because every day I'm like, I need to do it. Stu's doing it, so I'm happy.
Well, the time in post production, like putting all the edit together is, it's
that's it. I don't do YouTube, but I've been tempted to flirt with the Instagram reels, but just the time and the editing, and it turns me off, and I get lazy and I just revert. I'm like, fuck it, Instagram posts,
Right.
No, it's so true because you want to balance.
I say fuck it and I call you up and I'm like, hey man, let's talk about this movie. What are you doing Sunday?
Well, you want to balance your love for the game with your ambition to put content out. You know what I mean? You don't want to you don't want to go too hard and be like, man, this is the point where it becomes like a chore for me. So it's a definite balance for sure.
That's the word, man. That's the word.
Yeah, man.
And then of course,
Ink and Insights every Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. with E, talking the newest and comic book releases from the previous week and what we loved about them. Marvel, DC, Image, and the Indies. So check us out. Appreciate you and all your kind words and all your help. And your advice after I've been launching these, I appreciate.
Don't listen to me. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I promise you.
Yeah, but you can find me on Instagram. As you know, I don't do much. I put up some cool shit here and there, but working on something. Not really, but just.
Well, I'll tell you right now. No spoiler alert, but Blood Spider Chatter has 2 new shows coming to it in February. So that's all I'll say for now. We got some comic shit that's going to be happening. Comic books is going to be happening here on Blood Spider Chatter. And me and Missing Link, we've been getting together on many of these Sundays doing 2024 horror releases. And in 2025, we're going to continue that with at least a monthly show on Sundays. But I think the plan is probably going to be getting together 2 Sundays a month. I'll just say it now. I think that is the plan. So just get ready for it, man. We're going to be here every Thursday night, and then every other Thursday or Sunday we'll be talking horror as well. Then monthly comic book shows. They still make comics. Yes, they do. They still make them. Rogue saying IG reels suck, especially if you're editing them. Yeah,
Man.
Yeah, I wish
Just
that,
throw IG in the trash, bro.
as much as they push that shit, it's like, bro, update your fucking editing software. Like, you guys are pushing some basic shit, but it's like it's not worth anybody's goddamn time,
bro.
half the time.
Hey, if you wanted best advice I give you, go download CapCut. CapCut is TikTok service. It's free and it's fire as fuck.
It's amazing. That's what I use, and it's super user friendly. That was the gut punch for me when when the whole ByteDance thing happened. You know, my daughter's texting me, TikTok's gone. You know, it's like goodbye brain rot and this and that. And I was laughing at her. And then, you know, the next day I hop on CapCut and shit's real. You know, I can't edit my videos. It's back.
Was CapCut a part of that?
It was for a day or two. Yeah.
Dude, what's funny is I have
Wow.
you guys, like, I don't want to brag or anything, but I'm like I haven't posted anything on TikTok in like a year, but I'm a goddamn fucking celebrity over there. I've got videos that are doing like hundreds of thousands or 500,000 views, and I haven't looked at it in like a year just because I don't use that like out of it. You know, when I made all that, what I need to do is take everything that I've ever made and now put it on X or something like that, because that's a site
and TikTok.
And TikTok, I've already put it all there. TikTok, though, the problem with it was, if there's like a little bit of blood, it gets not taken down, but it gets like censored.
Okay.
TikTok, I can put my fucking dick and balls up there. They don't
yeah, and I gotta say, dude, CapCut went down, and I checked out my other options for like video editing and putting together what I want to do, and it would have been like till next week till I would have had something.
It is,
man.
It's
like
real shit,
no, seriously, like the algorithm and the interface and the stuff that they put together with CapCut is so easy to use and roll with and just learn on the fly. There's nothing really close.
I mean, they were so smart to do it. Like, it's making them money, so that's why they gave it away for free.
And I saw IG is gonna I saw IG is gonna try to create their own now. Like, you know, it's like y'all are so behind the man.
IG is always so fucking late to the game, bro. It's like, but wait till next time. You know, it's too late. Like, then when they do something, it's still not even worth a damn. Like that, like, you know, that's
no, all their policies and sea changes feel reactionary. It always feels like so.
Right, they're like DC. They're just reacting. They show it to Mar-a-Lago after the election. They're just like fucking reacting and shit.
I thought we were talking about comics. I can say they're better than Marvel right now.
This Sunday, come hang out with me and Rockin' Robbie for Buffy. I'm super fucking looking forward to that. This is basically just an excuse to talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
It's gonna be awesome
On the show.
Gotta put some angel in there, man.
We'll get it, baby. We'll get it. Never say never. We'll get it. All right, you guys are the best. Again, go check out Dr. Doom's fan club. Go check out Link on Instagram. Go check out me on Instagram, blood.splatter.chatter. And we'll see you next time. You guys are the shit.
Children of the night. What music, Amy.